Well, it's quite difficult to break down over 2,000 years of rich church history within the span of 12 weeks and a 7-episode podcast series. The purpose of this series is to give a real breakdown of church history up to the present day. I do want to give a disclaimer that this series is intended to be sort of a crash course in Christian history. It's by no means entirely comprehensive, so not every single person or event obviously will be mentioned. With that being said, I did include what I think, to the best of my current knowledge, are the most significant events and figures, so hopefully I haven't missed anything too important here. My goal here is to tell stories that contribute to the overall narrative of Christian history. Either way, there's a lot to cover here, and we'll definitely be talking a lot throughout. So I'll keep this introduction short and sweet so we can get right into it. But first, I think it's important to give some shout outs, and especially to mention the sources from which I pulled all this information. I created this series as part of an assignment for a Christian history course at Acadia Divinity College, where I am a grad student. The requirements of this assignment asked that we referred to the course materials primarily. So I will just briefly touch on what sources I used for this. I used foursquare.org, their beliefs page. I used a video from the Bible Project called Pentecost, Acts 1-7. I used an article from zondervanacademic.com called Do You Know These 7 Differences Between the Bible and the Quran? I visited codexsinaiticus.org for a bit of information on that manuscript. I used Tim Dowley's Introduction to the History of Christianity. That is the core resource I really cited here throughout this project, along with my class lectures. So this class was with Dr. Melody Maxwell, and I cited mostly all of the different lectures that she provided to us throughout the semester. I won't list the titles of them all. I don't think that's quite necessary to do here, but I did really want to emphasize that both Dr. Maxwell's lectures and Dowley's Intro to Christian History are the main sources that I've pulled from here. I've also pulled a little bit from Chronological and Background Charts of Church History by Robert C. Walton, or at least it's put together by Robert C. Walton. It's a great series from Zondervan. It has a bunch of different Bible chart books. It's super helpful. I visited gotquestions.org twice. I read one article called What is Armenianism and Is It Biblical? And another article called What was the Azusa Street Revival? And finally, another course textbook that I cited was Beth Wright's A Study Companion to Introduction to the History of Christianity. So that's, a study companion that goes along with the Dowley textbook that I also cited a lot throughout. I wanted to give a couple thank yous and acknowledgement. First of all, I would like to give a special thanks to my husband, Michael, who helped me make the presentation of this content more interesting. I wanted to give a shout out to Taylor Swift and Britney Spears, whose music got me through all this prep. And of course, I also listened to The Circle of Life a few times because you just have to, right? And of course, I have to thank my cats Mo, Phil, and Timmy, who are there to alleviate my stress with kitty snuggles. And I'd also like to thank my professor for this course, Dr. Melody Maxwell. Obviously, a lot of this information has come from her and, from the materials that she has provided for us to work through this course. So a great shout out to her. And now it is time to move right into the content, and I hope you enjoy this series. We'll get started with episode 1.